All right.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome to episode 2, Kindle Health Podcast. I'm Tanner. This is Kelly.
Thanks for being here with us.
Just as a reminder, if this is your first episode, we're a married couple. Started Kindle Health, which is a hormone replacement therapy clinic.
Optimization, hormone optimization.
Optimization. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think we were going to talk about how we met.
Yeah.
And a little bit more about us. I mean, we did talk about our time in the hospital last time,
but like even like our medical backgrounds kind of, I started out in college, health and exercise science. Mm-hmm. I thought I wanted to work in the gym industry, like run a gym or be a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. And then I don't really know what exactly kind of caused me to want to just change, but I studied abroad in Spain. Mm-hmm. And I came back and I was like, I actually want to be pre-med. Yeah. And so that was right before my senior year of college. So I had to shift gears and had 2 more years of prerequisites that I had to do, just because the health promotion side of things for college was more like techniques of teaching weight training, techniques of teaching aerobics, a little bit of economics and kind of business, a little aspect of that. And so I switched gears. Took me a long time to finish college. Took a full semester over one summer.
Not because she's dumb or anything.
Yeah. I just had a lot more classes that I had to take. And
a few victory laps.
Yeah, but reflecting, I think everything happens for a reason. And at the time that I was ready to apply for medical school, Rocky Vista University, the osteopathic school here in Colorado, was accepting applications for their very first class. Mm-hmm. And so I applied to only osteopathic schools. I really felt strongly about wanting to go to a DO school just because of the thoughts on their, background training and just how they look at the whole person just a little bit better or a little bit differently compared to an MD or an allopathic provider. And I was really interested in learning osteopathic manipulation, which I kind of explain as kind of like chiropractics, but a lot more like specific and well trained at it.
Yeah. You're not going to crack somebody's neck who's having a vertebral dissection or something like that.
Exactly. Right. So I applied to several osteopathic schools, but I got an interview here in state. And so I actually didn't even go to any other interviews because I was like, okay, cool. I'm a Colorado native, and I was like, sweet, I get to stay in Colorado for med school. So that was my medical training. And then being in Colorado, I had to move to Pueblo to go to, for my 3rd and 4th year of rotations. And being from Colorado, that wasn't the ideal place to go. I was pretty devastated. Yeah. But I'll leave it at that. And then
Pueblo's the redheaded stepchild of Colorado for sure.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a good punchline to it. But where'd you go to medical school?
I'm glad you asked. I'm going to back up, actually. I'm going to go further back. Okay. I was in high school. I was a senior in high school. And we did this kind of college scheduling sort of thing where we were semester-based. And it had worked out where I was going to graduate early. And I only had to take like 1 class spring semester of my senior year. And so I was going home early every day. I was going home at like 11 o'clock every day. And I started the semester off like that. And I hated it because all my friends are still in school, and there was nothing but Jerry Springer on at home. And, what am I going to do? All my friends are in school. Yeah. And so I went back to the school and I said, hey, give me some classes that I can fail if I want, and it doesn't matter. I'm still going to graduate. And so they stuck me in an anatomy and physiology class. And the teacher is Dr. Armstrong, and never forget it. He was this, I don't know if he's still alive, but he was this real hippie looking, he looked like he was straight from Woodstock, right? Just long hair, long beard. And he would bring in all kinds of, organs from the butcher shop that we would dissect. And it was the funnest class. There were like 4 or 5 people in the class. Nobody wanted to take this class. And I loved it. And I was good at it. And so when I went to college, they made me pick a major the very first day because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea. And they said, well, we don't like people being undecided. So pick a major, and if you want to switch, you can switch. No big deal. And I said, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I like, or I don't know what I want to do. And they said, well, what do you like? And I was like, well, I just took this really cool anatomy and physiology class, and then pre-med. And most people change pre-med anyway, so it fits, you know? Mm-hmm. And I never changed. And it was hard, and there were days where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. This is, But eventually got to the end of college, and still was kind of like, I don't know. I remember talking to my dad, and be like, I don't know if I want to. Do I want to go to med school? I'm not sure. I'd already taken MCATs and I'd gotten a decent score, but I went and toured. I was doing all this in Dallas, Texas, and I went and toured UT Southwestern. Everybody looked like they wanted to kill themselves. Like nobody looked happy. It was just like, oh, I don't know if I can keep going. And I don't remember where the link came from, but somebody sent me a link to. I was big into like international events and missions and third world, developing world problems, and I was very young and ideal, and I was going to fix the world, like we were going to feed all the poor and cure all the diseases. That's what I was really into back then, and I still am, but it's tempered these days. But somebody sent me a link to this medical school it was called Medical School for International Health, and it was at Ben Gurion University in Israel. In Beersheba, Israel. And it was a medical school basically cloned from Columbia University in New York, and a lot of the professors were from there, and they'd come over and teach, a cardiology section, 6 weeks of cardiology or whatever. And so I said, this is kind of my jive, and they would have these modules, these parallel modules with all the regular stuff that was like very third worldy type stuff, a lot of parasitology and refugee camp engineering, and just how do you take care of the third world essentially. And I was like, well, this seems pretty cool. So I'll apply here, and if I get in, great, I'll go to med school, and it'll still be a great adventure because it's halfway around the world in Israel, which it was kind of at the height of the second Intifada, and so it was like, kind of a hot spot there at the time. But, I was like, I'll go check it out. And if I don't get in, then I'll do something else. I'll be a pilot or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I got in. And so I went to Israel for, 3.5 years there, and half of a fourth year in Manhattan. And then there you go. And then I got a residency in Pueblo, Colorado. But to me though, so I was already coming from, a dusty desert that there was nothing really going on, too much. And so for me, it was almost a lateral move from Beersheba, Israel to Pueblo, Colorado is like, it's a little bit the same.
Well, and you would always really, considered that you wanted to be in Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, I'd always wanted to move to Colorado. Yeah. Just like a good Texan, if I wasn't going to stay in Texas, then you move to Colorado. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and so I did that, and
that day we both remember.
Yeah, and I'd been there. No, it was my intern year. Was it my intern year? Or was I second year? I
think you were second year.
I was second year because you were only there for 2 years. Yeah. So I'd already done my intern year, and kind of at the beginning of my second year, I get a page from the secretary to, hey, Dr. Hall, are you free? Can we come show some med students around and give them a tour of the hospital? And I was like, sure. And weirdly enough, I was free.
Yep.
I was on a medicine rotation, and I should not have been free. Was it medicine or OB? I can't remember. I won a usually very busy month. But this particular day was not busy at all. And I was like, well, oddly enough, I am free. Like, sure.
Yep.
And I saw Kelly in the hallway.
I was a second year med student because we were almost to be third year, right? It was like right on.
Hadn't gone up yet.
Yeah. we were down there getting a tour and like getting our badges set up to go down there for rotations.
Mm-hmm.
And we both remember in that hallway, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, oh, wow, he's cute.
Yeah.
But I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like he's a resident. Like I'm sure he's just got all his ducks in a row. He's got everything figured out. Like,
which I did,
life.
which I mean, yeah. Crushing it. Knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's funny when you can peek behind the curtain and see like, oh, nothing to see here.
Right, right. No, but anyway, so then we met that day, you know, but we didn't like exchange numbers or anything. But coming from a med school where we were the first class, we were actually, as a group of med students, just so excited to talk to residents because there's these things called shelf exams that you take monthly on your rotations.
Yeah.
As a med student, and we're just looking for guidance. Like, oh my gosh, like how did you study for the shelf exams? And turns out there's like a set of books that you can get, and that of course we didn't know because we didn't have any students above us to help guide us in that direction. So.
And kind of the ritual panic that comes along with like,
yeah.
Well, I've got the 6th edition, the 7th edition is out now. Oh my gosh, I'm going to fail this test. And it's like,
so
it changed one sentence. In the book.
Right. But as students, we were just so excited to meet some residents who were just, not too far ahead of us, but had gone through what we were about to go through.
Yeah.
And so that's really how we met, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Borrowed a book.
Took her to coffee, didn't pay for her coffee.
Right, but, so I maintain that was not a date because he did not offer to pay for my coffee.
I was broke broke resident. I didn't know you. Yeah, no, but I liked her, and we ended up dating, and she thankfully stuck around in Pueblo kind of for me.
Yeah, for residency.
For residency,
yep.
I was either there or she was going to go to Michigan, and I think you made that choice for me, which was wonderful, very kind of you.
Yeah.
Because I know sticking around in Pueblo is not great. Detroit's not better than Pueblo, really. So let's get that out there.
Right.
But yeah, and then I did Victory years in Pueblo, sticking around waiting for her to finish residency. So I stayed in Pueblo for 3 extra years.
Yep.
And
we got engaged in between it was my 3rd year. No, it had to have been.
So you were finishing your second year.
Finishing 2nd year, right?
Yeah. And then we got married right after you graduated.
Right.
Yeah.
So we dated for a good 4 years.
Yeah.
Being in the hospital setting as a resident, even as a med student, we saw sometimes some doctor relationships kind of fall apart. Yeah. And just part of our relationship that's always been really strong is just analyzing everything, sometimes over-analyzing, but just really working on our communication and saying, oh, we know what we're getting into. Like, this is really hard. We see doctors who spend more time at the hospital than they do at home, and we see how sometimes those relationships can fall apart. So being...
Your work wife becomes your mistress.
Yeah. So being real aware of that and just saying, what are the positives that come with us being married doctors versus, the negatives?
Yeah.
And I think that we, through our communication and analyzing and being aware of those things, like you spend too much time with your hospital people and sometimes your relationship fall apart, but just being real intentional about...
We were very intentional.
Yeah.
We were intentional.
About not doing that, not choosing the career that's going to cause you to spend more time at work than you do at home.
Yeah.
And I think we both really actually appreciate us being in the same field. Like, even back when we were dating, like, residency was the toughest stage of my life, hands down.
You had a hard one.
And, sometimes it's like, hey, I'm gonna be home at 6, and Tanner would be like, cool, I'll like have the charcuterie ready, or I'll have dinner ready.
Charcuterie, thanks, dude. She's building me up.
No, but then it's like
foie gras.
Right. No, but then like, oh my gosh, like another surgery came in. Hey, never mind. I'm coming home in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Sorry if you spent time making that charcuterie, right?
Yeah.
But Tanner was like, no problem. I get it. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Okay, see you when you get home.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't it wasn't a deal. It wasn't an issue, which I think was just really amazing because you knew what I was going through. You knew the stress.
I knew you didn't want to do that.
Right, exactly.
I knew you'd much rather come home and drink wine and eat a cheese board. But,
exactly.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So, just, reflecting, and even still now, right? Even still, hey, I'm leaving in 10 minutes. Oh, never mind. Actually, I'm leaving in an hour.
or having a panicky case in the hospital and not maybe wanting to look immediately dumb in front of your colleagues, and so we can call each other and be like, what would you do? Because this is weird, and I haven't dealt with this in years or if ever. And so having somebody, a sounding board to be completely honest and say, I don't know anything about this. Where do I even start?
Right. Or even just understanding the stress level that in our profession you grow to deal with on a daily basis, but that is a completely different type of stress and level of stress that I ever knew could be a normal day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just, from a med student worrying about passing tests to a resident having just being trained, going through training and really not knowing what you were doing, but then even recognizing that step after that of being an attending and you're it. That was a difficult amount of stress to adapt to.
Yeah.
That having experience now, I'm well adapted, but recognizing just the level of stress that you deal with when you go to work.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't cope with that stress well.
Right.
A lot of, there's a reason why doctors have the highest rates of addiction and divorces and suicides and all this other stuff, is because we don't cope well with that kind of stress, particularly since we're perfection. And, we're trying to change the culture of this, but we are, and you want us to be this, but we're perfectionists.
Right.
By nature. We want things to be perfect. And when they're not, we stress out. And it means if something's not perfect with us, we definitely don't tell anybody. And you just go drink a bottle of whiskey and it all goes away.
Nah.
I'm just joking. I'm joking. But that is how it happens. And that's
right.
that's why those statistics are so bad.
Right. And that is how sometimes relationships can fall apart. And so back to how much I appreciate you and how I feel like our doctor marriage works so well is that we've been very intentional about knowing all of that, knowing the levels of stress, knowing what causes those failure rates, and continuing to work on our relationship. And each other and respecting each other. I respect you for what you do. I know that when you go to work, it's hard, and I know that it can be stressful, and just supporting each other through that. I'm going to get kind of emotional.
Yeah, you're getting teary, yeah. It's important.
It is.
It is important. And it's something that we definitely have common ground on, but that's just even surface level common ground.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I like your use of the word intentional, because we do ask each other direct questions quite a bit of what is your expectation in this,
right?
And what is fortunately nothing misaligned that huge. That was the nice part, is that going through that whole process with somebody that wants to do that. One, it's hard enough to find somebody that's analytical like that with you, but also not finding any oh, you're a serial killer? Oh, wow.
Well, that's
a deal breaker for me.
We both know I did get pretty crazy in residency.
You were almost a serial killer.
It was the most stressful time of my life.
Yeah.
And I seriously say that, if we can get through something like that, where I was so stressed out and it was the most difficult time of my life, and you were still able to support me through it.
Yeah.
That we really can get through anything. And we've been through some hard times, we've been through a lot of infertility. We've been through loss, and it's never easy, because those times are never expected. Right. But I really do think that going through hard times when we were dating, real hard times, true stressful career training hard times, really just, it sealed the deal for me, right? I was like, oh, if we can get through that, we can get through anything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It was. I had the advantage of that I did residency before you. So you know, I was 3 years. You know, kind of 3 years down the road already.
Yep.
And so I had the advantage of like, I was only in residency 2 years of our dating years. You know, and so, I think it was much harder on you. You didn't get to see my go crazy level, and I don't know if I really went crazy, but you didn't get to see me really suffer. I don't know how much I let you see that first year.
Right.
The intern year was the hardest, really, but it got easier as you went through residency, and so you didn't really see that as much in me. But
yeah, I sure do appreciate when you were there for me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And don't get me wrong, like going to med school in Israel, like it got lonely over there. I mean, there was just, you know, that was the one thing that I didn't really anticipate was that, you know, after being over there for 3 years, kind of coming up on the end of it, was like, I'm ready to be back.
I bet.
Back home, back near family, where I'm not out here by myself. And this is back in the day. This is like I started in 2004, so these 3 years were like pre-Facebook, I mean, I had MySpace. Right?
That's wild, yeah.
I had MySpace. That's what I was emails and MySpace.
Definitely no like Netflix streaming apps.
No. No.
Right.
And so my craving of American culture and being closer to family and everything, could I go do that again? Probably easier to do now, but at the same time, it's like, you wouldn't be here in person with anybody, you know? So
yeah.
So
it's I mean, med school was tough too.
Yeah.
I remember failing a test and sitting in my car, like calling my dad crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you always think, and that pressure on you that any mistake is the end of the world.
Right.
Like any little slip up is unfixable, and that you're just gonna go off the edge and never come back.
Right. So it was tough. That was definitely a tough road, but that's how we found each other, you know. And I think everything happens for a reason, for sure. And here we are on the other side, and you know, we've always just had this drive to say, let's do some stuff. What else can we do? You know, we got involved in some coffee stuff, cold brew coffee, check out Brew Bomb. Yeah. But you know, and here we are now working together to do something else and working towards.
When we get to do this together.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
And you know, we've only practiced medicine together a little bit in the hospital. Like we had a little bit of an overlap there where I would do some PRN shifts at your hospital. But, you know, this is the first kind of, I would say, we are doing medicine together.
Yeah.
And I like that it's this because I don't like you know, because I get crazy too in the hospital. I get you know, you get stressed there and you get, you know.
You kind of put your shield up. You got to put your shield up. So we are slightly different people when we're working in a high stress environment.
Yeah. So I'm glad it's not that. I'm glad we're not opening some
me too.
hospitalist group or something.
Right.
Like that would be terrible.
I agree. But I would say that we're doing business together and practicing medicine alongside each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
and I think the point of telling everybody this is that the intention matters, like intention in relationships with each other, and what is it with your health do you want, you know, and that is the question, like what do you want with your health? I mean, if it is to live as long as possible, that's not the choice I recommend. Then you can try to do that, longevity, things like that, but the highest quality of life is definitely for me. Like that's what I want. I want to be my best physically and present for the moments that I want to be present for, and not be brain fog, not be exhausted. And I don't want to miss a single second because I'm in my 40s and I'm at halftime. So like I get that the next half is really important. And I don't want to just spend it on a couch or be tired or at the hospital. Definitely don't want to just spend it working away and you know, like this is my career choice, and so I'm just going to work until I'm dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But even, you know, even finding that ability to feel really great every day to be able to have that intention
Yeah.
in your decisions.
I think you find out what it is.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I agree. Like through our own journeys of hormone replacement, kind of finding ourselves again, and then really being like, oh, well, what do I want to be intentional about?
Yeah.
And really just bringing those to the forefront of like how you're going to live every day.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you going to live every day? What are your goals? What's your intention? And I think living with intention is one of our priorities, and definitely what brought us together.
Definitely.
And something that we prioritize.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
There you got it. We've been married 10 years.
10 years. 10 years this year, September.
Yeah. 15 years ago when we met. So.
Yeah. And
hopefully that was fun to hear a little bit of backstory on who we are.
Yeah. I want people to know. I want people to know who we are.
Me too.
And that's the whole point of this podcast, is just so that people can see who we are and what we stand for, and if it's something that aligns with what you stand for, then join us. And we're all about learning together and finding what people want out of life and out of their healthcare. Like, what do you want your life to be? Don't let anybody tell you what your life should be.
Right.
What do you want out of it?
And we want to create those partnerships with people to help you along your own journey. So check us out, Kindle Health.
Link in the comments. Like and subscribe. Also check out Dr. Kelly Berger Wellness Instagram, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys.